Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Good morning, everybody. It's 7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk, but we are across the river from the D.C. area. We are in the Commonwealth of Virginia, taking the show on the road. It's our Swing State Road Show. We're going to be doing it every Friday between now and the election. We're at the Metro 29. 29. Metro. Been saying it all morning.
It's the highway.
Where did 49?
I don't know.
Metro 29 Diner. We've had some great discussion this morning. Good audience has come here to have breakfast and to talk politics.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we are now joined by former Virginia Congressman, all-around good guy, Tom Davis, who we wanted to have you here to sort of tap into your knowledge about politics in the Commonwealth, because it's tight. We had a debate performance the other night that it remains to be seen, but there's a chance this could have been a game changer. Most of the polls, and I think there are like 5 polls out there, show that it's a 2-point race right now, with Obama having a slight 2-point lead. There's one outlier that I don't really have much faith in. Most people think it's a 2-point race. What do you think, and was the debate a game changer that could turn that around?
Well, there's no question that the debate took Romney off life support. At that point, he had been down a little bit. And this kind of reverses that trajectory, and I think this has helped him immensely. We'll see what happens over the next month. This is a close race, but I don't worry as much about the national polls as what's happening in 8 states, because 8 states are going to determine this. We saw in 2000 the presidential candidate get a majority or a plurality of the vote, but not win the Electoral College.
That's a possibility here, the reverse this time around.
So what you worry about is what's happening in Virginia right here. I mean, the path for victory for Republicans goes right through Virginia. What's happening in Ohio, Florida, Iowa, New Hampshire, and so on. So that's where you worry. But what I found is when the national polls change a little bit, eventually that trickles down to the states. But you have a tremendous amount of money being spent in 8 states right now.
What did you think about the debate?
Yeah. What happened to the president? Were you shocked by that?
Yeah, I think he fell asleep. It was. I'll tell you what happens is you run a lot of attack ads. You have your surrogates out, but when you have to confront the person one-on-one, it becomes a little different. Right. And stand behind it. It just wasn't there. I don't think they expected it under the format. And they were not prepared for game day, and Romney, he had game that day.
So you're saying that it's one thing to get on an ad and say, I approve this message, but it's another thing to stand behind it face-to-face with your opponent.
Right. What happens is he'll say, I approve this message, and they play that over and over again. A candidate sometimes never even sees the stuff. They just they read the tagline, and then they put it on different
commercials.
Ads, yeah.
Right.
All right, but what does the Romney campaign need to do to keep that momentum going? What should they be doing? And I know Governor Romney is going to be giving a big speech on foreign policy at VMI. Obviously, he chose that for a reason. What should they be doing in the next couple of weeks to keep the momentum going?
Well, I think they have to keep driving home the fact that, and he took it right to the president the other night, unemployment is just at a standstill. It's not going in. It's going sideways at best at this point. The debt continues to go up. Real income's going down. That we can do better. We don't have to settle for that. That we can do a lot better, and then articulate his program. And I thought he did a good job of that the other night.
All right, so as things stand out right now, I want you to handicap the race between George Allen will be here in a short while.
Good.
We handicap the race between George Allen and Tim Kaine, because the polls right now show Kaine's got about a 4-point lead.
Well, I think it's going to go the way of the presidential race. There's very little ticket splitting. What we've found over the last decade nationally is these races have become much more parliamentary than they used to be. Voters used to vote for the candidate. They look at the name on the back of the jersey and decide do they like this name or that. Now they're voting for the color of the jersey. And so we're seeing less ticket splitting now than any times in the last half century.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. And so to a great extent, for better or for worse, for all the friends and hands they shake and everything else, their destinies are intertwined with the presidential race. And if Romney carries this state with any kind of margin, I think Allen comes along with him.
All right, but it's about turnout. Right. And I remember in the last election cycle, I toured all over the Commonwealth of Virginia when I was working for Fox News. And I have to say, I was quite impressed with the organization that the Obama people had on the ground. Have you matched that organization this time around? Do you have what you need to get people to the polls?
Look, I don't think anything can beat the Obama organization, what they put together 4 years ago, what they have together now. I just looked at registration figures. We don't register by party, but they've clearly done a better job in registration this year because they started earlier. We were sitting there, fighting each other for months. So they have a tremendous ground organization. But I'll say this, we have a better organization than we've had in years. Hundreds of thousands of doors being pounded on every weekend, phones ringing,
right.
Volunteers coming. Organization alone doesn't do it. We've been organized some years, but if you don't have a product to sell, you just can't get them out. And I think one of the problems that the Obama and the Democrats have this time is they got a record. 4 years ago, they were running against Bush. Basically, his third term is what they called McCain. He'd been president. He'd had 2 wars that didn't work out very well, an economic collapse, Katrina, and Republicans were kind of down. If you look nationally, Republican turnout was down in 08 from 04. Democratic turnout spiked about 8%. Students, African Americans, Hispanics, they're not going to get the same turnout model. I teach a class at George Mason University with Congressman Jim Moran. So the students get both sides.
I bet that's a good class.
Well, it's an interesting class. You don't get paid much, but it's a lot of work, but we enjoy it. But I couldn't walk 100 feet on the campus without somebody coming up with a brochure or asking me to sign something for Obama. This year, silence.
Really?
So that turnout
that's interesting,
in these college towns and the like, they're trying to spike it up. It is not there for them. So we'll see what they can do with the minority vote and like, but they have votes in clumps.
Well, it's interesting what you say about how you're voting for the color of the jersey instead of the name on the back of the jersey. In Virginia, you get Democrats, you get Republicans at the state level. But it seems to me, though, that the candidates who have won, who have held office either for Senate or for governor, have been well-liked. And there's been a big difference between the candidates. I mean, Creed Eads wasn't a great candidate. Jerry Kilgore wasn't a very good candidate. Mark Warner, very well-liked. Tim Kaine was pretty well-liked. George Allen.
Well, you still win in this state in the center. You still win in the center. There are enough people that are swing voters back and forth. You got to take the swing vote. The difficulty that Obama has this time as last time is, he's been the incumbent for 4 years. He's had bad results.
Where is the key to winning statewide elections in Virginia?
Well, for Democrats, it's up here. Last time, Obama carried the state by 234,000 votes. He carried Northern Virginia by 233,000. Basically broke even the rest of the state. Democrats have to run up a margin in Northern Virginia and in Tidewater, in the urban areas, basically, to win.
You were telling us before we came on that you grew up right in this very neighborhood.
Right here. My paper route was right across Lee Highway from here. And I went to Cherrydale Elementary School, which is now a nursing home. I went to what was Stratford Junior High at the time, which now has another name. My wife went to Yorktown. By the way, I got to put a plug in for Jean Marie's. She was a state senator in Fairfax. But Yorktown High School here, UVA, running for lieutenant governor next year. But we both grew up here in Arlington, and it's changed. It's a city. It was a suburb in those days. It was
way out back then.
It was way out. Yeah. Now today it's a city. It's very urbanized, and it votes like a city.
All right. Can you stick around for a minute? I want to talk about sequestration and what kind of role that would have on it, and also a little bit more about the congressional race, whether or not the Republicans can keep the large numbers that they have.
105.9 FM and AM 630, Washington's Mall, WMAL, where Washington comes to talk.
7:50 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. We're broadcasting live this morning from the Metro 29 Diner in Arlington, right off of Lee Highway. Former Senator George Allen wants to be another senator again, joining us about an hour or about 15 minutes from now. Tom Davis, former congressman, is here. You know the lay of the land very well when it comes to congressional races. The Democrats think they can peel away some seats from Republicans, but Republicans will still hold the majority at the end of the day on November 7th, right?
Yeah, I think virtually everybody who handicaps House races has said Republicans hold the House. The Republicans' greatest vulnerability is they so overperformed in 2010 that they're in some seats they probably shouldn't be, but they used the opportunity at the redistricting table this time. Remember, all but 7 members of the House are running in different districts than elected them the last time. They're all altered because they have to be equal every 10 years in population. And so they used their clout in state legislatures to strengthen those seats. So as you look at it, the Democrats have to pick up about 25 seats. That's a high hurdle.
Yeah, but the Senate...
Yeah, what about the Senate? Does it come down to Virginia?
We blew the Senate last time. Republicans should have taken the Senate in 2010, but they had so many dysfunctional candidates that they lost seats they should have won. Delaware, Colorado, Nevada. This time, we've got Todd Aiken in Missouri. This should have been an easy pickup, and it's going to be a struggle now. I'm not out of it. This should have been a walk in the park. Look, You have 23 Democratic seats up, 10 Republican seats up. The Republicans need a net of 3. At the beginning of this cycle, it looked like a laydown. Now, not sure where it's going to go, but it's gotten tougher. I mean, again, Virginia, a very critical race for Republican control of the Senate.
Can Todd Aiken win?
He could, but he's made it a lot harder for himself.
Right. All right. Sequestration and these letters that were supposed to go out, but the Obama administration said, hey, don't put the letters out, and if you have to go to court, we'll pick up the tab for you. And obviously Republicans are up in arms about that.
Right.
But does that play a role in the election in Virginia, both for president and for Senate?
Well, it does. First of all, sequestration is just an awful solution to this because it devastates Northern Virginia's economy. What will happen January 2nd if Congress and the president can't agree, and they haven't agreed for the last year. I mean, they had the super committee look at this thing. They tried to work out deals. They didn't come close. And Woodward's book, The Price of Politics, describes perfectly why the president couldn't put this thing together. It was the administration's idea to put in sequestration on the defense. Romney wasn't near Washington. He has nothing to do with this. But right now we see a slowing down in contracts, option years being extended, and it has really, really hurt the government business. So federal contractors are in fear, and that's why they didn't want these layoff notices to go out to make it even worse. But believe me, working for a federal contractor, you know this is a problem down the way, and you're worried about your job.
Well, Tom Davis, it is a real pleasure to have you, and appreciate you getting up, coming here to your old neighborhood, your old
being back in the hood
this morning.
It's changed a little bit through time.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
It's good to see you, too. Thank you.